Thank you so much for sticking with us. If you are just joining us, this is Daybreak on Trust TV. Now we have in the studio the editor, 21st Century Chronicle, Nuruddin Abdullah, as usual, to have a look at some of the stories making headway on our dailies this morning. Good morning. Welcome to Daybreak. Well, we have quite very interesting stories on our dailies this morning. This one on the Daily Trust newspaper. There's a pictorial there, a very cuddly and cute pictorial of a baby that was born, you know, in captivity in the bush, and the pictures were released by these bandits yesterday. Is this sending a message of hope or helplessness? What would you describe this as?
I think I would go for the latter. It's hopelessness, and more importantly, the terrorists have devised and successfully launched a psychological warfare on the psyche of Nigerians, particularly we from the north, because they are touting us now. They realize our hopelessness, and now they are touting us. That is exactly what they are doing. Look at the trend. At the beginning, it was a footage. Then there was a second footage after the the MD of the Agric Bank was released after payment of about 100 million ransom. Then, just on Tuesday, if you remember, about 4 handout pictures were released by the terrorists. They are operating like an organized institution. Yes, look at the people we have. We counted 62 of them in 4 handouts. Now, we learned that one of their victims, who was pregnant, has been delivered of a baby. That is not enough. There's another handout picture of a baby born in captivity. So what exactly are they saying? They have realized our vulnerabilities, and they are touting us. They have launched now a psychological warfare, and they realize that the government is, okay, maybe yesterday after the news broke that one of the victims has delivered up a baby. They sneak a doctor to deliver the woman of a baby. Apart from that, after they bombed the train, they herded away those 60-something passengers. There are those with gunshots or wounds. They sneaked in medical personnel and they were treated. One of the victims who was released confirmed that. And now they are even sneaking doctors. So there was a time that the president was saying government inside in the government. What are they doing? And for 1 full month, there was no attempt for any rescue that we know.
So do you think the taunts that you just mentioned are being targeted at the government rather than we as Nigerians?
Apparently, some of the families of the victims confirmed that they have some demands. They have some of their commanders in detention, and they want them released. You know, previously, they deal at individual level. They put calls, even though you think you are named and you SIM, and these people still use phones. And look at what they are doing. They are upping their game. At the beginning, you know, after the footage, it was on an open background. So, you know, with the Android, you can geomap, and their location can be identified. But the handout they sent, you know, remember they had a cover so that, you know, to obliterate any landmark that you can pinpoint and geomap their location. But as I am talking to you now, nothing has been done. 1 month, they're in captivity. The minister who is in charge of the railway, we saw him in Port Harcourt running up and down. He has joined the presidential race. You can see how callous, how insensitive that can be. I don't think this can happen in a Western country. More than 660 people were abducted after a bomb attack on a train, and the minister in charge of that ministry has the guts, has the audacity to join a presidential race. To campaign on what ground? And unfortunately, again, the person who should superintend the rescue, what if you, the NSA, is busy trading blames. What a governor who said that there was intelligence before this crime was committed. But unfortunately, those who should act on the intelligence stay back. So that is it. Now, apart from the trauma, what if they're touting us because they know our vulnerabilities. They know that our government can do nothing. Now we have just been reduced into the position of prayers. Yes. Can only pray that let these people come back. Nothing else.
Well, others, some people are actually saying that the government is reluctant to enter into negotiations with these terrorists so that not to cede to their demands and embolden others to actually join the bandwagon as well to hold the government to ransom.
That is what government sees all over the world. Even the narrow states, they don't negotiate with terrorists in the open, but they do through the back door. The Swiss government, for instance, is the most experienced negotiator. Are they doing that on their own? No. You look at what is at stake. What these terrorists are doing is embarrassing not only to the government of Nigeria, but they are treating us like prisoners of war. That we have been conquered.
But maybe there's some back channeling currently going on right now that we don't know about. Could there be?
For how long should that be? In the next 6 months? This is 30 good days. Gone. Nothing. So when they say they don't negotiate, there are ways of doing these things. Okay, at the peak of this, the senators passed a law criminalizing pension payment and ransom payment. That is ridiculous. Nobody pays ransom just he want to pay a ransom. No. Stop the crime. In as much as kidnapping for ransom is a capital offense in almost all the 36 states of the Federation, but kidnappers are still on the prowl. They are on rampage. Up in their games that we mentioned. Stop the kidnapping. Nobody will just say, okay, let me look for a kidnapper and pay him ransom. No, people are selling their houses, the house they live in, the farms, the egg they're living out of it, to pay all this ransom. So if you look at the strategy, I'm not a security expert like I mentioned, but the strategy doesn't seem to be working. If there is a back channel, we should see the action.
Well, we're really hoping, that these people are being brought back to their families, and then we see peace, reign subsequently in our nation. Now, let's take a look at some more stories, like the one on the Leadership newspaper, Leadership Friday. You were here the other day, and I don't know if it was with you, we're talking about drug tests for politicians, political parties, to conduct NDLEA to conduct drug tests on politicians. Now, they're rejecting that, saying that NDLEA should not toy with politicians. Should it be a response they should make, with regards to this?
You don't need to be told. When the DG of NDLEA was saying that, I just laughed. I said, they'll never allow it because there must be a law. And no any serious political party will make that part of their laws. Not only drug tests, they should go for psychiatrist tests, because this massive looting is certainly not born out of a sane mind. But lo and behold, they're already kicking against it. But that should be the starting point. It is the lawmaker that should make the law. Because the APC, the PDP, the water fee, I don't think they will make that part of them. Many of them are drug addicts.
But the lawmakers are also politicians, and that law will actually affect them as well.
That's why they rejected it quickly. Understand? What I'm saying at the level of the party, for instance, say, okay, we are PDP or we are APC. We'll put the part of the NDA had to set up a lab. Mr. Ibrahim, you want to be governor of your state? Okay, subject yourself. Just like for a psychiatrist test. To ensure that, yeah, somebody who conversing for our votes is of a sound mind and he is not a junkie. But I don't see them approving that. Not that they are busy doing things that doesn't concern us at all. So that is it. So I don't know how Marwa will, and the way some of them are even into not only addicts, they are not only consumers of the product. They are even dealers. Like it has been revealed, some officials are making billions out of stealing from dealers and selling them to others, Like it is being unveiled now. So anything, what is Mara coming to in the local parlance, you want to sansan their gari. Understand? So that's it.
Okay, we also have, President Muhammadu Buhari saying nobody can rig the 2023 elections. How certain is that?
I don't know where the president is coming from, but the level of desperation, particularly among his lieutenants in the villa, is indicating something different. How is he going to do that? He won't be on the ballot. The moment presidential candidate emerge, particularly from the ruling party, the president's influence will start diminishing. He's going. We are more concerned about who is coming, who will give us contracts, who will give us appointments. And with this present situation, with this insecurity, Buhari came on maybe a troika of anti-corruption, honesty, and integrity. But unfortunately, 7 years after counting, he has successfully destroyed all these pillars upon which his government was anchored on. So now, what will be the basis of the campaign? If Mr. Ibrahim is the APC presidential candidate, then you'll say that, okay, you'll clean the mess created by your own party in the last 7 years, or what?
You'll continue from where they stopped.
So that is it. Or the government came saying that they will rescue Chibok girls. Okay, now you said that you rescued the 62 train passengers. This is a vicious cycle. So how is he going to stop? These people are desperate. They have been in power for 8 years now. And the fear of losing power, the psychology on it. Yes, Zainab want to, if not, why Zainab as a governor for example, state, what do you bother who takes a back from you? You have done your bit, but no, you have to install a stooge. Because you have committed so much atrocities. It can be human rights, you jail journalists, activists, and you have stolen so much. So you have to bring a stooge to cover up for you. So that's the problem. It's the same thing with him. They are scrambling to place, that's why there is even confusion now. Who will cover up the mess being created now? They're even contemplating bringing a former president who rejected. So you can see the confusion. So what the president is saying, maybe he's just saying for saying sake, but his effort, when they will, by the time they will order the military to move in, or order the police like we see in some instances, the president won't be there. Or he won't even command the INF people. So that is it. So the level of desperation And some people are out, they have been out of the loop for 8 years now. In Hausa, they say that there's not azimi. They have fasted for 8 years, fasting for eating the national cake. So now they have sharpened their swords, and they want to come back by all means. So this is the situation. It's just the situation like of 2015 now. We have referred to that. And worst part of it is that the country is terribly factionalized along religious lines, among ethnic lines, and even sectional lines. You understand?
Yeah, just to touch on that, actually, there's this headline on the front page of the Sun newspaper saying that Masob warns Igbo leaders over Southeast presidency, and it says Indigbo won't tolerate any sabotage. I mean, so how far does that go to show how fractionalized Nigeria actually is?
Yes, and because the government did not help matters. Okay. You remember when the president, at the beginning of his administration, I think he was speaking to Christian Amanpour. He was justifying the discrimination against that particular. He said, people who gave me 80% votes should not be treated as equal with those who gave me only 5%, when he was referring to them. And again, over the years, there was very little effort to assure them that they are Nigerians. Mr. Ibrahim, the moment you are a PDP or APC candidate, but the moment you are elected, you are for Nigerians. Nigeria is your constituency. You understand? So that's how it should be done. But even this, the upsurge of crimes, these agitations, were foiled by lack of proper political coordination. Because now you are saying that the Igbo leaders should reign in the Masob IPOP. How? How many of them have you given sensitive appointments, for instance? They shouldn't know. Or how many projects have you cited in their area in the last 8 years? So these are the ways so that you know we are making gains from this government, even though we must not be at the totem pole of power. And the funnest part of it is we do blind agitations. Muhammadu Buhari is the president of Nigeria in the last 7 years. You are somebody from the Northwest, for instance. I am from the Northwest, where he comes from. What have I got now in the last 7 years that other Nigerians did not get? There are certain parts of the country that have gained so much. All the projects, Lagos Ibadan, look at the Abuja-Kaduna road. Abuja-Kano highway, for instance. I'm from the Northwest, he's from the Northwest. If he's going to Katsina now, there will be mass deployment of security forces, because anything can happen. All these things came into being after he became president. So who knows? Even if an Igbo man becomes a president now, that the south, the region he comes from, the southeast, would be further alienated and what have you. So sometimes we don't think. Take the PDP administration. Who benefited so much? Yes, there was insurgency, but who was the Minister of Defense? Yazan Faraman, not twice. Who was the NSC? Who was dishing out all the contracts, taking monies meant for arms out of you, and sharing it to ulamas out of you? He's a prince of Sokoto. He can be Sultan of Sokoto tomorrow. So even when we had a southern presidency, those who benefited immensely, I think mine was designing, there was not like the Suki, are from the north. And now we have another, he surrounded himself with some provincial politicians who don't see beyond their noses. And now they just realize that it is time off. And now they are scrambling what is life after the Buhari administration.
So this brings into context the issue of zoning now, because there's actually a headline that we read that the Northern Elders Forum is still kicking against it. Is that the way to go?
No. In as much as zoning, it's not a democratic thing. I think minus the PDP. Even PDP, maybe they will turn up their, from all indications. One. And again, what? We shouldn't be even talking about zoning if the right things are done. Like I told you now, yes, power has been zoned to the north in the last 7 years. What have you achieved? What are the legacy projects? Yes, the president will go to your state and pick a federal appointee of no value to the state. Isn't that what he's doing? All the service chiefs, all the head of the paramilitary are northerners. But in the last 30 days, majorly northerners were herded into the forest by some ragtag bandits, and they are touting us. And they are sitting in their offices, watching and maybe lamenting. So of what benefit is the presidency to us as a northerner, for instance, or a Hausaman, or even as a Muslim? So these are the things that we should consider, but we don't. But to be fair again, if power shifts to other sides of the country, they know how to utilize it better. Yeah, there are people, if you give them power, they will utilize it better, because we saw what they did in the past. But we have done it for 8 years. We're not the only Nigerians. If we want to keep the country as one, there should be semblance of equity. Understand? There should be semblance of equity. But my only concern, like I mentioned in the past, is when you're doing agitation, it shouldn't be violent. If you're a minority, it has to be through lobby. Consider it is not my crime. It's not a crime. It is not my offense that I was born from a section of the country that I have numerical power, or from my ethnic group that has a numerical power, and you are from an ethnic group that has poor numerical power. You understand? So there should be understanding, and it has been done in the past. But when you say, like now, the Igbos, they believe that the moment an Igbo man becomes a president, it will be like the Buhari presidency. We worked for it for 12 years. Minus maybe himself. Everybody is disappointed, including Aisha Buhari. Maybe minus himself. Yes, that is it. That's the reality. So these are the issues. So I think Nigeria should be wiser now. We did Buhari in 2003, 2007, 2011, and you go to 2015, and now 8 years. Minus the president himself, everybody is disappointed. There are some people, because of the political offices they hold, they can't tell you in public, but at the background. So that is it. So now, the North, for instance, let's say even the Northwest, what have we achieved in the Buhari presidency? Now that our own is the president. Our own is the president, and almost minus Kano and Jigawa, almost all the Northwestern are being plagued by these bandits. Yes, this is where he comes from. Katsina, his home state, is one of the headquarters of banditry. They barge into schools, take our kids, students from dormitories. They block roads at will, and nothing is happening. Apart from the usual, his spokesperson will sit down, it's a template. We'll just change the name of the state, the date, and condemn.
We really do hope, as 2023 comes along, that we're going to see some lessons learned, and Nigerians will actually learn their lessons and